to another episode of the Cincinnati Sports Scene Podcast. I am Dave. He is Sam. And today we're talking college football, the upcoming playoff race, and the biggest question facing the Reds as we approach the trade deadline. And as always, this show is about sports debates, opinions, and conversations that go beyond just the headlines. We want to hear from you make sure you drop your thoughts in the comments, especially because we have some big debates today. This is the Cincinnati Sports Scene Podcast, episode number 170. We're going to jump right in it. College football is right around the corner. And my question to open up this segment, son, is this the most unpredictable college football season we've ever had? Or,
I mean, as far as I can remember, the last couple to me have been pretty unpredictable. Just the transfer portal and just the massive turnover these rosters have kind of make it a little difficult to project where these teams are going to be. I mean, we know who the players are year in and year out. That doesn't really change, but when you're talking playoff picture, teams like 7 through 12, toss-ups, there might be 15 to 20 teams in there that depending on who you're listening to, people are going to throw out. So, I guess that is the one positive the transfer portal has had, is more teams are probably in the mix compared to years past.
Right. I mean, more teams in the college football playoffs, and that allows some upsets. Maybe it also allows teams and last year wasn't, but like 2 years ago when Indiana snuck in to the playoffs, to break that tradition. So I guess our first talking point is, to me, I probably agree with you as far as the unpredictability here, but our number one, I guess what everybody wants to know is who can actually win the national title. Let's break it down like tier one, our favorites. Okay. Who are the five that you think can win the national title?
I'll give you the five. So my first two are the two teams that played for it last year, IU and Miami. I love what Cignetti's doing. So yeah, quarterback might be a little bit of a question mark with Mendoza not coming back, but I can't remember who they picked up in the portal off the top of my head.
I think it's Hoover.
That's right. Yeah, Hoover from TCU.
Yep.
Who can throw the ball around a lot. So I think he'll be a good fit there. And Cignetti just knows how to coach. And then Miami, Tony's coming back, their wide receiver. They've got a lot of good players on their defense that are coming back. They had great defensive line depth last year. So even though they lost to two guys, Bain and Mesidor, I think they'll be able to replace them. Plus they're playing in the ACC, which is a little bit easier road just to get to the playoff in general. So I like those two teams. I like Ohio State, I like Georgia, and I like Oregon as kind of my five front runners, I guess you could say.
Okay, that's interesting. Ohio State, Georgia for sure. Oregon, yeah, I agree with. Indiana, I don't know. Yes, I love what Cignetti is doing for IU, even though...
I'm just not going to discount the champs until they're out of it. I'm just not going to.
That is true. And then, I don't know if Texas has enough, or if Texas is just one of those teams that are good, but then when it comes to the big game, sort of like Oregon, right? When it comes to the big game,
like Penn State,
Penn State, those type of things. So yeah, I like those. I don't know about Miami though. I think they lost a little too much on, even though the ACC is a little weaker conference. Will they go back into the playoffs? You'll have to stick around to the end of the show when we make our predictions. But I think that, they could be struggling a little bit to replace that production between Mesidona and Bain. I think those two guys are hard to replace. But we'll see. So let's talk about spoilers, or people that might crash the 12, like first time teams that might get in.
That's a good question. I'm thinking off the top of my head, if it's going to come from like an ACC or a Big 12, I don't see any really new blood from the Big 10 getting in, or the SEC really. The SEC maybe. I guess A&M made it last year, but maybe they could actually make some noise this year. Their quarterback's returning, so that helps. They're going to have that playoff experience, kind of the disappointment. But they made it last year, so it doesn't really count. No, I would say Vandy, but I just don't know their quarterback situation. They lost Mendoza. He was their whole offense. Or not Mendoza, but Pavia. He was their whole offense, really. It's tough to replace somebody like that. But Vandy would be kind of on my short list, I think. Somebody that could actually crash the party. I like Lee, their coach, is a really good coach. So I think that they have as good a shot as anybody.
Yeah, one of my surprise, it comes out of the Big Ten, and Iowa.
Purdue?
No, not Purdue. As much as I would love Purdue to crash that party, I think that would be more, I don't know, I think more people would be flabbergasted at that than they were at IU, 2 years ago. And IU's, when they crashed, it was, I mean, earth shattering, right? I think Purdue's would be, I mean, I don't know what kind of shattering it would be, but it would be cosmetic. So I think Iowa might have a shot.
I'll say that. Iowa.
Or at least they could play a spoiler and who.
Yeah. All right.
Who makes it out of the Big Ten? Okay. I mean, maybe that they might not get there, but I think they will play a part in who will make it to the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, I can buy that. I mean, it's tough to go into Ames or Iowa City, I guess they're
Iowa City,
and play in Hawkeye Corver Stadium there.
Well, what about let's see, did BYU make it the first year?
BYU has not made it now.
They might be.
Remember, they were like one loss. They lost the conference championship or whatever.
Right.
And that was their loss. So they didn't get in.
They could sneak in.
They could. Another team I just thought of is Louisville with Braun.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
If their quarterback can finally stay healthy and he doesn't roll through like 3 different guys back there, maybe they can make some noise in the East.
Yeah. And then what about and I haven't been following the non-power 5, the group of 5 or whatever they're called. Like, which one do you think would have the best shot at making it?
I don't know. I haven't followed too much of that. I would anticipate, Boise State's always just around. Yeah. They're always a program. It doesn't really matter. They get the best of the leftover guys out on the West Coast. So that would be my pick without really knowing too much about the next group of 5 there. I would say Boise State or maybe Southern Florida again, somebody like that.
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, good. That could work. All right. Of the favorites here, who has the most complete roster?
I mean, it's tough to go against Georgia. I don't like their quarterback. That's the only issue. Outside of quarterback, they probably have the best roster.
Yeah. Well, that was the next question. Who has the best quarterback situation?
Yeah. Best quarterback situation. There's just so much turnover. I'd probably say Ohio State because they're bringing back. I'm blanking on his name now. They're bringing back the Julian Sayin. They're bringing him back.
Yeah. And
I thought he was all right last year. There were times where I thought the moment was a little bit too big for him, but the talent's there.
Yeah.
And the playmakers are there to help him out too. So I think year 2, him and Ryan Day are going to have it dialed in. I think. Getting a little ahead of ourselves, he's probably a Heisman contender as well. But I think he'll end up being the best quarterback this year.
Yeah, and then I guess, one to go back to the surprise, one team who a sleeper, it could be LSU, right? Because they're sitting, in most polls, they're somewhere 7, 8. The CBS poll has 13, and then the ESPN poll has a 10. So I think
it's hard for me to say LSU as a sleeper just because of how big of a brand they are. I know they've had a couple down years for that by their standards, but
right. And Lane Kiffin, that's probably going to be
a fun team to watch. That's for sure.
I was going to say it's probably going to be the most. They're probably going to be the most watched program as far as people want to see what they're going to do, just because of Lane Kiffin coming in, not because of his antics and stuff, but just can he turn around LSU?
His offense, his offense in Ole Miss was fun to watch, and there's no reason he can't bring that to LSU.
Well, his offense at Alabama was fun to watch.
His offenses in general is fun to watch. Yeah.
All right. So now moving on to how about point number 2? Talking point number 2. Who won the transfer portal? Who was your winner and who was your loser?
Well, my loser was Texas Tech, just because you spend all that money on your quarterback and then you don't get him.
Yeah, yep, that's a good point.
But winner-wise, I liked what Miami did, bringing in Mensa from Duke as their quarterback spot. He's probably the best dual threat guy out there, so that's going to add another dynamic to their offense that they didn't have the last 2 years. Cam Ward and Carson Beck is a quarterback that can run for some yards. I know Cam Ward could improvise really well, but he was more still looking to throw. Mensa will actually take off and run.
Mm-hmm.
LSU is going to have had a good transfer portal too, bringing in a lot of guys to come play with Kiffin. So I like what they did. Those are the 2 that stand out to me.
Yeah. I would probably concur with that. Maybe IU brought in a lot.
Yeah.
As well.
They did.
So, to your point, Singetti knows how to coach, and this is the third straight year that he's had an experienced quarterback, someone that has been around. That might be a formula for the championships here. So I guess the question is, are teams building championships, or are they just running players for one season?
I mean, for the most part, they're going. I mean, look at IU and Miami last year, both transferred portal quarterbacks. I mean, they did have some guys that they developed, especially at Miami. Miami's always going to have that just because of the region that they're in. Whereas IU's going forward, IU's going to be a transfer portal school. It's just not a lot of talent coming out of Indiana, to be quite frank. So I think it's going to be regionally dependent. I do. The teams in the South are going to have the inherent high school recruiting advantage just because of all the talent that's down there. And it's probably a little bit cheaper to get high school talent, to get a 4-star high school guy, than to go after a big name portal guy. As we've seen with the SEC schools, they're kind of playing with a budget now, whereas the Big Ten schools aren't. Big Ten schools spend whatever they want. So I think the SEC schools, you'll still see that traditional, depth building model, and you supplement where you need it with your transfer portal. And then, Big Ten, you're just going to go out and get the stars for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part. All right, let's go into our talking point number 3. We are going to list our 12-team playoff predictors. Who do you got?
So I'll go kind of conference by conference. I've got 4 out of the SEC and the Big Ten. So my 4 out of the SEC, going with Georgia, A&M, Texas. I have to go with Bama. I just have to. So those are my 4 there. I wouldn't be surprised though if LSU replaces Alabama. I just can't put that on the record. So I'm going to say Alabama. And then in the Big Ten, I'm going Ohio State, IU, Oregon. And then the 4th one I kind of went back and forth on. Just because of all the turmoil up at Michigan. It's tough. But I really like Bryce Underwood. I think he's a really good quarterback. And I think he's going to make a jump. So I'm going to say Michigan.
Okay.
And then that leaves really 3 spots because you got the one group of 5, which I'm not naming at the moment. I'm going to need to see that one play out. So you've got your ACC. I'm going Miami. I'm also going to say Louisville gets in as well out of the ACC. That leaves 1 spot for the Big 12. And even though Sorsby's not going to play, Texas Tech spent a bunch of money. I think Texas Tech is going to find their way back in.
Okay.
That's 11 plus the group of 5 there.
Plus the group of 5. All right. So the group of 5, I'll just say Boise.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Just because. All right. The one team that I think is going to be in there that, we haven't talked anything about is Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame will be.
I kind of forgot about Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame, and I think a lot of people have forgotten about Notre Dame because they did some things last year that they weren't, it wasn't kosher what they did, right? As far as the bowls and things like that. So.
Yeah. I mean, I could see Notre Dame replacing Michigan. I'm going to stick with Michigan just because that was my initial gut.
Okay. So I'm going to have Notre Dame.
I did completely forget about Notre Dame.
I'm going to have Notre Dame in there, and I think Texas Tech will probably be in instead of BYU. The ACC, I do like the Louisville call, but I don't know if Clemson did enough to get back to relevant, or if NC State did anything. And Arizona State, I don't know where they'll be at.
No, I mean, their quarterback left, receiver went to, pros, Tyson. Yeah. So I don't really see them.
Okay, so I think Miami as well. And then I'm going to go back to Clemson just because I think they're going to make some noise. And then OSU, IU, and Oregon from the Big Ten. So that leaves 4 that I can bring in from the SEC. So it's Georgia, Texas. I'm going to say LSU cracks in and Ole Miss. So that is my 12.
I just don't know if they can put together a regular season without Kiffin.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if Pete Golding can, ride the wave, right? So, and I think the SEC is going to come down to how Auburn and Florida play this year because they're better. And, if they can upset some people along the way, especially going into Jordan Hare or the Swamp, it could make for a very interesting SEC this year. So, but they'll cry.
Would agree with that.
They'll cry that we beat each other up. We need to have 6 teams in, or as rumor, they're thinking of just playing themselves and pulling out. I
Yeah.
don't know. Have you heard anything about
I
that?
saw some stuff on that. I didn't read too much into it. My initial thought was always, why is the South always trying to secede from everything? But um, they're taking their ball and going home now that they
Yeah.
can't compete.
They can't be the big boys. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute here.
But I mean, that's the mentality down there, I guess. But I mean,
It just means more.
they wouldn't be alone if they decided to do that. I don't think the Big Ten.
Well, the Big Ten would be right behind.
Yeah,
They would.
yeah,
They
would.
They'd be right behind them.
And then they'd pull a couple other schools from the remaining conferences to get to the 30 or 40 teams or whatever, like we talked about in the past. And I think they would do their own thing. And I've come around to it. I'm not entirely opposed to it if they do it correctly. Just have a commissioner and just say that we're pro sports now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the worst idea that I've ever heard. It's just, of course, it's the SEC that's proposing it.
Yep, exactly. So we want to hear your 12 predictions for the college football playoffs. Go ahead and just drop us a line in our Instagram or our Twitter at Cincy Sports Scene, or you can just leave it here in the comment section on YouTube. But talking point number 4 is where we need to focus a little bit. Here is the Cincinnati Bearcats outlook. I guess the questions, and this is pretty much the same questions we've asked for the past, 3-4 years. Can UC compete in the Big 12? What would make this season successful? And then lastly, is the program closer to rebuilding or competing?
I mean, just because the conference that the Big 12 is, they can't compete. It's not a dominant team. I don't see any reason why they can't be competitive other than their head coach. Just what UC has been the past 4 years. Just kind of they struggle. They can beat the teams they're supposed to, but teams that are equal to them or better than them, they don't beat. They just don't. And so that's the key is the Big 12 is all kind of lumped together. And if you can't beat teams that are just as good as you, that's why you lose 5 in a row to close out your season, or 7 in a row to close out your season.
So are you saying that they're closer to rebuilding? I mean, because they're picked 12th in the conference again, right?
Yeah, they are, but it's the big. Like I said, it's the Big 12. I mean, 12's not that different than 4. If you ask me, it's not.
But it still doesn't get you inside.
It doesn't. No, you've got to win the conference, I think, to get into the playoffs. You're in the Big 12.
Well, and here's the thing too: if and this is the SEC's argument all the time that we beat each other up, blah 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 blah. What happens if it's just a bloodbath in the Big 12 where you have teams, 7 and 3 teams, 4 teams that are 7 and 5? Sort of like the one year when they had the triple tiebreakers that they had to do. You get, and just say UC sneaks out on top. Would the committee put UC in? That's the. I doubt it as well.
I genuinely doubt they would. No.
So that's the thing, with especially if Notre Dame is playing well.
Yeah.
That takes a spot. And if how the committee loves their blue bloods and the traditional schools.
If there is that bloodbath, that just gives extra reason to pick the 5th or 6th team out of the Big 10 or the SEC.
Exactly.
Because they're going to have the same record. They're both going to be. They're all going to be 8 and 4. They're going to pick that team instead.
Right.
That's a no-brainer as far as they're concerned.
Right. More eyes on the prize, I guess.
Exactly.
But I don't know. I think.
I mean, a successful season though for UC is just keep increasing the wins. Right. It was 7 last year, so you would have to get to 8, which would be, 8 and 4. I would be happy with, as long as it's not hey, we were 8 and 1 and lost 3 in a row to close the season.
Right.
Right. Like we were 7 and 1 last year and lost 5 straight, including the bowl game. Like 7 and 1, that could have got you if you'd went 3 and 1 the rest of the way. That could have got you into the conference championship game, which could have got you into the playoff.
I wonder how much money Sorsby won.
Right. Right. Yeah. Probably more than Texas Tech was going to give him. Well, actually, probably not, because he was only betting like $5. But
yeah, $5 on 35 different phones, something like that.
Right.
But,
yeah.
All right, that's enough of Sorsby bashing for this episode. But I think, I don't know. I just hope UC is relevant late in the year. I think it gives the city something to look forward to. Getting behind. I remember when Cincinnati with Fickle, those 2 years. I mean, I mean, the town was abuzz, right? And that's
Well, part of that too, like the year UC made the playoffs, that was when the Bengals made the Super Bowl. Like that was the
mhm,
same year. So I mean, the city was,
a
I mean,
buzz. Yeah,
football happy, you know?
right.
So like if UC's good, that can, help the Bengals. People are tuning into football. They're caring a
Mhm.
little bit more about football on their weekends.
Well, then as I recalled, the big debates on all the talk shows and even our show was, is this a football town or a baseball town, right?
Yeah.
And I think you and Crawley were saying it's a football town, and I still said it's a baseball town, which we'll be talking about here in just just a second. And then I think that's a good transition point. So for us, so we're going to move it closer here to the home front because there is a lot of happening with the Cincinnati Reds, and the one announcement could have a major implication for the future of this organization. Chase Burns was extended. I didn't see that coming.
I didn't either. I did not.
So did the Reds finally get something right?
I think they
And
did.
I mean, 105 million, 7 years, I believe,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Right
no
on 2 free
options.
agent years, no options.
Yeah,
Exactly.
no options, that's great. So I guess why was locking Burns up so important?
Because he's gonna be a stud.
Well,
I
yeah,
mean, he already is. So, I mean, if you look at, I mean, I looked out at like the year by year breakdown. Next year it starts at like 2.5 and then it goes up like 12, 15, 17, something like that. Goes
Mhm.
up incrementally. But if he's a guy that's going to be in Cy Young contention, like we're hoping and projecting, by the time he hits arbitration, his ARB1 number will be 13, 14, 15 million. But, year 3 in ARB, he'd be up over 20 to 25 million. And he doesn't have a single year that's higher than that. So if he does turn out to be, that guy, that ace, you've got him on a great deal, a great team friendly deal. And, from his perspective, he's got his money now, right? So he doesn't have to worry about an injury maybe setting him back from getting paid or anything like that. I think it's a win-win on both sides. I really do. And
Yeah,
from the Reds' perspective, he doesn't get too expensive either.
right.
Like 100 million over 7 years, it's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things.
No, and now they got two frontline aces, under contract. So I think locking up Burns now was important. I think for the Reds to now figure out who's next. Right? Is it Sal? Which I think it needs to be.
That would be my first choice. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think Sal, and then I think, then you got to take a real hard look at Ellie, but we know
No, that's not happening.
that's not happening just because of
Ellie
who his
would be
agent
number one,
is.
but we
Right.
know it's not happening. So
Right.
that's why I moved to Sal, because it needs to be a position player that you're projecting to be a star.
Right.
And there's no other real candidate for that on the roster right
now. No, not right now. I mean, if you can get Sal locked up, and then you have them for 3 more years, Hillman Burns with Ellie, you can work with that. And I just think that this, I don't want to say if this is a signal, like they're changing their philosophy, the ownership's philosophy, because they want to pay the young talent, because we saw that a couple of years ago with Hunter Greene, right? And we saw that 15 years ago with Homer Bailey, where the Reds are willing to pay young talent to arms to lock them up, as long as they're willing to do that, and the agents are willing to do that, because I mean they have done that in the past. So I don't know if technically is a signal that they're shifting to pay guys. I just think it was what I think that they had their sights locked in. They wanted to see what Burns did in the first half, right? Or first half of the year, first quarter of the year. And they're like, okay, he's the real deal. It's not a fluke. He worked on some stuff. He got his control a little bit. Yeah, let's go try to lock him up. So now I guess the question becomes, we said Sal is next, and that leads into, we want him to be the player, but, are the Reds more willing to roll the dice than lock him up? Maybe not this year, maybe lock him up, say in year 3.
Yeah, but if the longer you wait, the more expensive it gets.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because they can see free agency, they can see the big payday. That also gives them time to get better and command a bigger number. Which, if they get better, that's great. But I mean, the Reds, outside of Votto, they've never really paid a bat big money, that I can remember. I mean, I know they extended Phillips, but it wasn't at a big number. They extended Bruce, but it wasn't at a big number. And I have a feeling that Sal is going to be looking for a big number. So maybe that could be a potential holdup, but I don't know.
Do you know who his agent is? I don't.
I do not know.
Yeah. I
I
don't know who
can
he's
try and see
represented
here
by.
real quick who it is. I mean, he's a South Florida guy, so that kind of screams Scott Boras to me. But I'll see if I can find who his agent is.
Yeah. So as we go on our topic 3 of the Reds, it's like our trade.
So his Sal Stewart's agent is Dan Lozano, who represented Joey Votto. So it's Votto's old agent. So there's some positivity there.
There is. And if they could say, hey, we want a similar deal, because, when we looked at Votto's deal, right, $250 million over 10 years, we're like, holy cow, it's a lot, blah, 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 blah. Looking back on it, that was a really good contract for the Reds. I mean, that was a really good contract for the Reds. And, Votto made his money, and he played Cincinnati, and, we love him, and we still love him. And speaking of Joey Votto, he's going to be on Sunday Night Baseball.
I saw that,
He's going to make it, so hopefully it'll be entertaining for everybody, because I think he will be very good at that. So getting back to the Reds and these deadline rumors, who could be gone, right? We looked at, Pierce Johnson, Brock Burke, Brady Singer, and Tyler Stevenson, and Suarez. So those 5 guys who are on expiring contracts, pending free agents, they have to move those guys. I mean, they have to, right?
I don't care if it's for a bucket of balls.
I mean,
get
something, right? But they have to move those guys.
You're not bringing a single one of them back. So there's no point in keeping them around for the rest of the season.
Right. There's not. I mean, if you can get something for him, and Singer, I read the latest rumors. I mean, Seattle might actually be looking into him because they could need an arm, but the White Sox are where most people are predicting him to go, because he would slot in at number 3, number 4, be the inning eater guy, help shore up that bullpen, because that bullpen is very sketchy on the south side of Chicago. And, they're just looking at it for sort of like what he did here, right? Veteran presence, innings eater, takes the ball every 5th day and goes out there and throws you hopefully 7 innings and keeps you in the ballgame. And that's what the Sox need right now. Now, they've got a lot of young talent prospects-wise, but I know they're not getting rid of their top 2 prospects. They're not.
Singer wouldn't command.
No, he would not. Anyway. He would not. But if you get somebody, say around their 8.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, 8 to 10 range ish. Yeah,
I would do that. And then throw in maybe a AAA guy.
Yeah, some 24-year-old 4A player.
Right, like a Will Benson type.
Special.
Right. Somebody who has options. So
exactly.
We can put them on the I-71 shuttle from Louisville to Cincinnati. Tyler Stevenson's the rumors right now. Maybe Dodgers. Yeah, because Will Smith. I think they're waiting to find out how long of an IL stint he could be. I mean, it could be.
I saw the other day it could be up to 2 months. Is what they were thinking. I know they were still waiting for sure, but I mean, if it's 2 months. You got to go Stevenson there right now.
Yeah, you could.
You don't wait for the deadline.
Right. And then the Yankees were the other one that I saw a lot of rumors that he might, because he was in New York, was in Colorado to watch the Rockies catcher, and then Stevenson also, because they need a right-handed power bat catching wise.
I mean, Stevenson would fit that ballpark. He likes to take the ball the other way. He's got a little bit of pop going the other way too. So
yeah, he does. So,
seems like kind of a good fit there.
And like a couple people on Twitter, Reds Nation, they were like going, Jason Dominguez
for alien,
for Stevenson, and throw in another, younger prospect, like number 40 or something like that. And the change of scenery guy, right? That's what, because Dominguez, he's struggling, and I mean, I would do that trade. I think
I'd do that, because that's an outfielder. You need an outfielder,
right?
And it's worth the flyer. Get him out of New York, get him out of the pressure of playing for a good team,
right?
And see if he can live up to those 5 tools that he was projected to have.
Yeah, and then Suarez, I think a couple of teams. Seattle might be.
I was going to say, ironically, Seattle.
Seattle needs a right-handed bat. Miami, or was it Miami?
Miami could probably use them.
Yeah, I think
they
Miami.
Could use a power bat.
Yeah, I think Miami, and then the Atlanta Braves would be the sleeper for, I don't know, DH or
It's like I was going to say he'd have to be DH unless Riley's hurt, but I don't think Riley's hurt. So.
No, but I just think, a little DH.
Yeah.
Another, just to extend the lineup a little bit there. I mean, Suarez is starting to heat up. And I think he's
yesterday.
Yeah, I think he's finally over that oblique injury. I think he's feeling good about himself. So we'll see. We'll see what he does today. We'll move forward. The other name, there's two names that are floating out there, and the Reds have both said, they're not shopping either of them, but they probably are listening to phone calls, right? One is Spencer Steer, and the other is obviously Hunter Greene. My thoughts on Spencer, it's like, yes, I love him as a player. I mean, he's very versatile. He just goes out and plays. You want me to play right field? Sure. Never played it before, but I'll go play. Want me to play center this year? Okay, I'll go play center. Yeah. You want me to, move off of third base to go play left field? Sure, I'll do that. Now you want me to go play first? Yeah, I'll do that too. I just want to play. Those are the kind of guys you want to have on your team. And because he doesn't care where he plays, just play me. And he's starting to produce, not what we saw in 2023, but, it's starting to increase. And, as Terry Francona said, he just wishes that it would be over now, just so that we can get through this. And because there's a lot of emotions, right? You just don't know. Day to day, you're coming in, and the closer you get to that August 3rd deadline, you're going to be on pins and needles, right? You're going to be like, oh my gosh, am I here? Am I not? And it's not just affecting the ball players, it's affecting his family. If he's married, has kids, and we got to find a new place, we got to do this, we got to do that. How am I, in the case of Tyler Stevenson, am I going to be there? Are they going to sign me long term? Or am I on free agent and trying to find another place, right? So there's a lot that's going on behind the scenes, that these players have to go through, and they're trying to focus on the game. And sometimes that affects their performances. Sometimes it doesn't. And, as a professional, you have to understand that side of the business. But we're still dealing with human beings, and there is that human nature to it of feelings. It's like, hey, I played 11 years in this organization and now I'm gone. Right. So thoughts on Steer and Hunter Greene?
I mean, Steer's somebody that you would think every team could be interested in just because of his versatility and where right? I mean, you could play him really anywhere except for short and center, I would say. And he could probably figure those two spots out if you needed him to. Short and center kind of guys you want that have always played there. A team that I think should be in on Steer, I haven't seen anything if they are or not, would be the Boston Red Sox, right? I mean, they've won 14 or 15 straight now. They're in the playoffs, as of today. And, Roman Anthony's out for the season. So that's an outfield spot that they need. So, that would make sense to me as a team that should be interested in Steer. But Steer's a guy that, they don't have to get rid of necessarily right now. So they can wait for a good offer. They don't have to necessarily sell on the cheap side. They can kind of get into a bidding war or have him as part of a bidding war if they want to go that. And, if the Red Sox are interested, I'm sure there would be other teams that would be interested in him. So I think you could get more for Spencer Steer now than you would next year or the year after. So, if the price is right, you probably have to pull the trigger.
Yeah, you probably.
Which is, sad. I'd love to have Spencer Steer on the team. Those are ball players that we as Cincinnatians love.
Right.
And I mean, those are guys that make up championship rosters. Those guys that can play every day at any position you put.
And then Hunter Greene. I mean, Jim Bowden came out and said, why trade? Because this way you can have two aces on your staff, which I tend to agree with. But
I agree too. But I don't think that you're going to get too much for him because, I mean, the team that trades for him knows he's only making 20 to 22 starts for him, right? He's only going to pitch 2/3 of the season at best for him. I'd compare him a little bit to Joel Embiid. Like when he plays and when he pitches, he's really good. He's really good, but he's just not out there enough for you to really be a true contender, which is a shame. So if a team's trading for him, you're not relying on him to be your ace.
But here's the thing, right? Right. And I agree with that. So the Dodgers make perfect sense for him.
Yeah.
I mean, they make perfect sense because you got
all what do they care if he only makes 20 starts? Yeah.
I mean, half their starting pitching only makes 20 starts,
and they're
they're still running away with the division, right?
Yeah, they just cycle through guys. Yeah.
Right. And
I mean, he's from LA or the LA area.
Mhm.
Yeah, that makes sense. I
It
mean,
makes sense.
you could probably convince the Dodgers to get overpaid for him. So, I mean,
Probably could, because especially if the Padres are chomping at the bit, because that's the other team that now the other team, right? But there's probably 29 other teams that would be lining up.
well, right, because he's on a great contract too. Like, you're not
Yeah,
paying him a lot
he's
of
on
money.
it. And like you said, and when he's on his game and healthy, he can be dominant. And we saw that against the Cubs. And the Cubs may pull, a Cincinnati Reds and go after him just like we did Candelario,
Yeah,
so that
yeah.
he doesn't
But he
he
doesn't
doesn't
kill
keep
them.
beating them. Yeah, exactly. But so yeah, any other thoughts on the deadline? I mean, what do you expect to see happen here? I know we've got a couple of weeks until August 3rd, but what do you expect to happen?
In all honesty, I expect fewer moves than what we should. I see us getting off a Singer and like Pierce Johnson, some of the reliever guys, but I don't see us making any like big splashy moves. I don't see us getting off of Hunter Greene or Spencer Steer at the deadline.
All right. Well, let's
In all
go
honesty,
through
I
the.
wouldn't be surprised if Stevenson's not moved either. He should be, but I
Well,
would not be surprised
well,
if he is.
let's play a little game here. All right. So you just say, are they going to be a Red or somewhere else after the deadline? Okay. Suarez,
Red,
Singer,
somewhere else.
Nathaniel Lowe,
Red,
Pierce Johnson,
somewhere else.
Brock Burke,
Somewhere else.
Tyler Stevenson,
Red.
Hunter Greene, Spencer Steer. Okay. So they're only going to move.
Right. They're just going to move the small kind of ancillary guys. I just don't see them getting off the guys that could actually get back any value. I just don't.
Well, I think, where we stand today. Let me take a look at the standings real quick.
Yeah, I mean, Stevenson was the biggest toss up for me. I can see that going either way.
You've got to get rid of. You're not bringing him back, right? I mean,
you're not bringing him back, but who's going to be your second catcher then? I'm just thinking from Nick Krall's perspective.
Right.
Who's going to be their second catcher? Because Dunham's not ready to be called up.
No, but P.J. Higgins or whatever his name is.
So what's the point? Why not just let Stevenson enter free agency here?
Because the point is you don't get any. You get a comp pick maybe.
And a comp pick might be more valuable than what they could get for him.
Yeah, but it won't be a high comp pick.
It'd be a comp B pick.
Yeah.
So it'd be the equivalent. It'd be after the third round.
I don't know. I think he's gone. I think the Reds would be like, because I don't think they want to take the hit.
I don't trust him to do the right thing. I think he should.
That's true, but that's why. Yeah, and I guess that's probably fair.
That's kind of how I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
My personal opinion is he should have been gone yesterday.
Well, yeah.
But
yeah, you're right.
I don't necessarily trust our front office to do the right thing here. I don't.
Yep. No, here's the front office. This would be a typical Krall move, right? You trade, you get somebody, and then you re-sign them.
Yeah, you re-sign them in November. Yeah,
in November, for for like a 2-year deal or something like that.
Right, a 2-year deal that hurts Dunno's ability to come up. Yeah,
right, exactly. Actually, it wouldn't be a 2-year deal; it'd be a 3-year deal. So he's blocked. Here's what you do, right? Any package with Hunter Greene in it, Ke'Bryan Hayes has to be in it as well. I'm sorry, he has to be. He cannot. I mean, you're paying that guy $45 million.
Yeah, over the next 4 years.
Yeah, and it's
4 more
years.
Crazy. 4 more years after this one, they've still got him.
Yeah, I know. And it's like, boy, you better learn to hit somewhere along the line, because you hit well in AAA in Arizona, and guess what? Maybe that's where you should stay.
Yeah, just stay there.
But because if you get rid of Suarez and Spencer Steer, right? I mean, Sal will be your everyday first baseman, and then Ke'Bryan would be your everyday third baseman. I would much rather have Spencer Steer playing first and Sal Stewart playing third.
Yep.
And then we can JJ out in left field and go get 2 outfielders, Dominguez in right field and Henry Rodriguez in center field, or Blake Dunn. I mean, I still don't think Dunn's he's a TJ Friedel, right? I don't see him being our everyday center fielder for this rebuild that we're trying to do. All right, that wraps up our trade discussion here, our rumors. You are up for the trivia section.
Yes. So I've got a little scoreboard stumper. It was from earlier this month for the All-Star break. So it's since 2010, 6 players have been selected by the Reds in the first round of the draft and have made at least one All-Star game in their major league career. Who are they?
Yeah, I saw that too.
Did you? Saw it?
Yeah. So I actually had a bookmark because I was going to ask that one last week instead of the Davey Concepcion one.
Yeah. Here, I've got the scoreboard stumper thing pulled up, so I'll give you a different one.
Okay.
Unless maybe you saw this one too.
Maybe I saw that one too.
All right. So 5 players have hit 100 or more career home runs at Great American Ballpark. Who are they? You seen that one?
I did not see the answers, though. I did see it, but I did not see the answers.
All right, we'll go ahead. We'll go with that one.
Okay. And this is across the board, not just Reds, right?
Well, they all are Reds, but
they all are Reds?
Yeah.
Okay.
The answer is all Reds. Yes.
Okay. So Bruce, Votto.
Yep.
Junior? No. Phillips?
Phillips, yes.
Frazier?
No.
No. Dunner? Dunner didn't play.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
Dunner did. Yep.
Got one left.
And then,
remember, it's a scoreboard stumper.
Yeah, I know. Since 2003, right?
Yeah, JVP was 2000.
Incarcino. No, it's not Edwin Incarcino. He hit 500 once he left Cincinnati.
Yeah.
It's not. Wasn't Roland. Wasn't Frazier, right? That's what. Yeah. I'm trying to think who's been around. You said it wasn't Junior.
Not Junior.
It's not Larkin because Larkin only has 199.
Yeah, Larkin I think only had 1 year at JVP. So.
Yeah.
Maybe he got 2.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah,
give me a hint.
Current Red.
Current Red?
Yep.
Suarez.
Yep.
Suarez, that's right. Because he. Yep, that's what I was thinking. No, Ellie. No, he doesn't have that many yet. All right, that's going to wrap it up for episode number 177 of the Cincinnati Sports Scene podcast. We want to hear from you. Who is your national championship favorite? Who gets left out of the playoffs? And the biggest question of the week, should the Reds trade Hunter Greene, or is he an untouchable still? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share the show with another sports fan. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week here on the Cincinnati Sports Scene podcast. Take care, everybody.